What's up, fam? So recently, Don Lemon was arrested and detained and put in jail because of him and a group of people went to a church was a week or so ago and disrupted service. I'm not really going to say if I agree or disagree with the church or what they preach in this and the third, but in this country, you have a right of religion to worship as you seem fit in the house of worship. But Don Lemon thought he was above the law. Matter of fact, he thinks that he has the law on his side in this situation. Well, let's watch this news clip and then I'm gonna break it down. And then, as usual, I want to hear you break it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
Moments ago, Don Lemon was released on bond after appearing in court. So CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman joining us live from Los Angeles. And Matt, I know you were in the courtroom. So tell us about the charges and the government's arguments.
You know, first, Juliet, Don Lemon came in. He was still wearing the same suit he was wearing last night, preparing for the Grammys, this cream-colored suit, double-breasted. He had glasses on, and he scanned the gallery, and he did see some familiar faces, friends, his husband, LA Mayor Karen Bass, sketch artist, lots of press, a huge amount of interest. But I think what struck me most, this is a preliminary hearing. Typically, it is pro forma. But there was something we heard when the prosecution, which is the government, was asking for him to have bail set at $100,000, to have certain restrictions on his travel. And this is how they justified it, by saying he was part of a conspiracy and a group that knowingly joined a mob, and that Lemon himself knowingly joined a mob to terrorize people during a church worship service. That shows you.
So the question is, he's in LA. Well, if he's in LA, I can see why he got a slap on the wrist, because we know California is so liberal that they're gonna side on his side, because California is not pro-Trump. They're not pro-Republicans. They are Democrat. They are liberals, and Don Lemon is doing something to antagonize or to go against whatever Donald Trump is doing. And California, you saw LA, he said the mayor of LA was there. California is going to be on his team.
How the government is viewing this case. Obviously, Lemon and his team dispute that. And eventually, the judge agreed with them to some degree. She said, there will be no bond. He will be released to his own recognizance. There will be certain limits to his international travel, but not many to his national travel. And mostly he'll be free to go about his business. In fact, he walked out of court. And we got to hear him because he addressed reporters for a short time very defiantly.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years.
So you've been running up in people's churches, yelling and screaming and disrupting church service in the house of God.
And that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists.
It also protects those in religious settings, but we're going to get into that.
Who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
And so his day
Justice Smollett Part 2.
Juliet will be February 9th, back in Minneapolis. He was just apprehended here, and that's why he had his first preliminary hearing here. He will be staying in New York. This could go on for some time. We understand Lemon just left in a car. There was one other thing that he said, that now is the most important time for a free and independent media, and that is something that you hear echoed nationally. The National Press Club also weighing in, saying that this indictment against Lemon and Georgia Ford, who we also saw live streaming her indictment, could have a chilling effect on journalists across the country and on free speech and the First Amendment, Juliet.
All right, Matt Gutman. Matt, thanks so much.
So my question is, when did journalism become more important than someone's soul? I'm talking about religion. whatever religion that you believe. And if you believe there's an eternal life, if you believe in reincarnation, whatever the case, this is why you are in these houses of worship. When does journalism become more important? When did journalism become more important than your soul, your salvation? I don't understand it. And then before I go too deep into what I want to say, I want to break down exactly what it is, what law he actually violated. And then I want to tell you why it's dangerous if he only gets a slap on the wrist, especially to the Black community. When I say especially because of the history, but anyway, what he violated, number one, was the freedom of access to clinic entrance, the FACE Act. This federal law, which is why he was detained in LA. Most likely he went to federal agents came and got him, and then he went to a federal prison jail and federal court, and that judge let him out with no bond. It said this federal law, codified at 18 USC subsection 248, makes it a crime to intentionally injure, intimidate, interfere with, or attempt to injure, intimidate, or interfere with a person exercising the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of worship. If you saw the video, those people were in there worshiping. Don Lemon walks in there with this group, yelling, threatening, being mean, scaring people. People were scared. Kids, grown folks and kids, you saw kids crying on the video, were intimidated. And Don Lemon them interfered with the freedom of speech. Or freedom of religion, I'm sorry. So although originally passed in 1994 in the context of abortion clinic protests, the statute also includes protections for a house of worship against interference. Prosecutors have charged Lemon under this law, asserting the church service disruption violates its provision. Let's not talk about law. Let's talk about your job, Don Lemon, when you used to be on CNN before they kicked you off. What if a preacher or anybody, let's say anybody, decides to walk up into your newsroom while you in the middle of doing a story and start protesting and chanting about the LMNOP community, saying derogatory things about the LMNOP community? Would you have had them arrested? Or would you have just sat there, allowed them to rant and rave for as long as they wanted to, and then let them leave? Or would they be violating private property, trespassing on private property? I'm just saying, would they be breaking any laws? Because that's what you're saying. So you're setting a precedent that you really don't want to set. Because again, and I'm gonna get into it, it's gonna be dangerous. It's gonna cause more problems than you think if Don Lemon only gets a slap on the wrist. Let's say number 2, conspiracy against rights. 18 USC subsection 241 says Lemon also faces charges under this Reconstruction era civil rights statute, which makes it a federal crime for 2 or more people to conspire to interfere with someone's constitutional rights. Now, that doesn't mean 2 people have to go into the building. It could have been a group of people conspiring, and then he just went into the building. But if an investigation is had and they come to find out that it was a group of people that planned this, then they can all get in trouble under this statute. In this case, that means allegedly depriving churchgoers of their rights to freely worship. The charges tied to the disruption of the church services to violations of protections for religious worship under federal law. Lemon and his lawyers argued that he was there as a journalist reporting on a protest. There was no protest going on in the church, not as a participant in disrupting the service, and they have pledged to challenge the charges. But the problem, well, hold on, let me see. See, Don Lemon, if I'm thinking about this, Don Lemon playing this cool. He playing this real smooth because he wasn't in there. Let's be honest. He just might get off because he was not, well, it's like this. He may think he can get off. He might know this law and think he gonna be able to get off because he wasn't in there yelling, ranting, and raving. He walked in with the group. But the problem that Don Lemon gonna have is he has it recorded where he's getting ready to go into the church. It is believed that he helped create this group, the protesters, to go into this church because how did he know that there was a preacher in there who was part of the ICE, the ICE soldiers or officers or whatever you call it. So that's where he probably thinks he's going to get away with it because he didn't do nothing to this world. Because yes, he walked in just doing an interview. So he basically, technically, I guess he didn't do anything wrong, but he actually did because he conspired with the other group to go in there, and he knew what was going to happen before. So it's like what you call it, being associated, guilt by association is what I would say. So in everyday terms, you can't block or disrupt a church service on purpose. There's a federal law that protects people's rights to worship without being harassed, interrupted, or intimidated. If someone knowingly causes a disturbance inside a church service, that can cross from protest into a crime. You say, think of it like this: a peaceful protest outside is legal. A protest walking to a service and stopping it, that's potentially illegal. They say you can't team up with others to stop people from worshiping. There's also an old civil rights law that says 2 or more people can't work together to interfere with someone's constitutional rights. Freedom of religion is one of those rights. So if authorities believe someone coordinated with others to disrupt the service, that's where this charge comes in. And that's what it looked like, because Don Lemon, he tried to play the fool, but it's like, here's my thing, Don Lemon. Once you saw them walk into that church, you shouldn't have went in. You should have distanced yourself from that. You can't sit there and be a victim and say that you didn't know what was going on. You were just there. He's happened to be there as a journalist and you was reporting the protest. I get it, but it might not work this time. Here is where this could become dangerous if he only gets a slap on the wrist. In Minnesota, he just might get that. If he's able to get away with this, can you imagine other people doing this in church services? Or even think about those who go like the mosque. Because, ICE is going after anybody who's not a U.S. citizen, which could include Islamic worshipers. So what about, like I said, a mosque, church, synagogue, whatever you want to call it, and people want to go in there and protest and they get away with it? Now everybody's going to want to do it. It's already bad enough we have people going in church houses trying to rob the church house, and people getting shot inside the church. Remember that white boy that went into the church that one night and shot and killed like 10 people. You remember that? Was it South Carolina or what have you? And they let them in and fed them and everything. They turned around and killed them all. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this bad enough. You got to worry about that. Now you also got to worry about people just coming in all willy-nilly, disrupting your church service, and you don't know if they got a gun or not. That's why it's going to be dangerous if he gets away with this. You're like on the job, walking in a job. You know what I'm saying? People going to do it. If it's not part of the Constitution, they walk on your job, they walk in your house. Now, stores, that's different. Stores are public places where people can go publicly to shop, but it's still on private property, and you still have to obey the laws at the store, that the store and the city and the ordinances have in place. But man, let me tell you something. Don Lemon, to me, Don Lemon, he's a clown, man. He is. He's been one for the longest. He say things. He remind me of Jasmine Crockett sometimes, acting like they know the law. And Jasmine Crockett should know the law, but she said something one time. What is it about? She said something about people that came over the board they're not committing a crime or something like that. And it's like, but they are committing a crime. They're breaking the law. Simple as that. And you supposed to know these things. And you would think Don Lemon would know this stuff too. I mean, especially somebody in the LMNOP community, you would think they would know every law, every statute, because, you know, they got people to be on their bumper all the time trying to get them for some reason. But hey, it is what it is though, man. Like I said, this could be a dangerous precedent. Hopefully the judge, I mean, I ain't saying put the man in jail for 50 years, but it should be some community service, you know, send a nice hefty fine, maybe a couple of minutes in jail. I don't know, but something, he should get some kind of punishment, you know what I'm saying? And not just let go scot-free so he can do this again. Anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, share with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. And with that being said, I leave you in peace and love, and I'll see you on the other side.